welcome back. This video, I'm going to talk you through my recent decision of switching to an insulin pump. This is also the topic of my most recent article on the newsletter here on the Substack. You can find it as the Diabetic Runner Blueprint, but it's going to be linked in the description of the video. And yeah, it's been top of mind. So I thought, why not just talk through the decision process really of deciding for in favor of a pump after more than 15 years on my beloved insulin pen, the MDI. And yeah, it's not an easy decision, and still now, that I have decided, I have made the decision. I still have to fully process it. So I'm still in the middle of the, changing my mind, so to say. And the reason it's been a difficult decision and one that I've postponed and procrastinated on for more than a decade, I can say that it took me more than a decade to make up my mind to, wrap my head around this, is because, you know, I've been on MDI since day one. And you know, whenever I saw an insulin pump, I could, in other fellow type ones, I could see them having this small tube and knowing that there was an algorithm assisting them with the decision, with the decision making behind, the insulin doses and everything. I knew that it was a super big helper and something that makes life with diseases much easier. But for me, it was always like, yeah, I know all of that. I know life is easier, but still I am on MDI and, you know, it's been a decade now. So this is a process that work, kind of. Um, and so the switching cost for me was so much higher than the just imagining the benefits that I could get on the other side. And so for that, I you know for the most part, for the longest time, I was really reluctant to accepting the role of an insulin pump and having an insulin pump in my life. Another big reason, and this has only reinforced things for me in recent years, is becoming an endurance athlete and now doing endurance stuff. And for me, not taking insulin during workouts, or at least trying to design my day and the insulin timing and the meal timing so that I don't need to take insulin during activity, is a major point because and I recognize that there are nuances to this. It's not that it's an absolute, but for me, the when I had to, give a little bit of insulin uh, before or during an activity, even the smallest amount, which on a pen is 0.5, so half a unit, that was always a major risk because I am quite insulin sensitive, and for me, giving even the smallest dose can really snowball into a load that I cannot recover from, or that I, need way too many carbs, or for sure much more than I could possibly digest. And so I've always seen insulin as a potential risk, around exercise. And that's why I was like, yeah, I mean, the benefit of a pump is really just being able to microdose during activity. But for me, that was not even an argument because I don't take insulin during or around activity anyway, unless I'm truly desperate. And there were a couple of cases, but like two or three, a handful in a couple of years. And so I really couldn't make sense of this, couldn't recognize in full the use case for a pump until very recently. Until very recently, because surprise, surprise, I've decided that this month, and I'm going to do it in the next couple of weeks, I am going to drop my MDIs. So this is the last month with this beautiful pen, and adopt a pump, which in my case is going to be the Tislim X2. I hope this is the right name. But the how I've arrived to this decision was really dictated by a few major events. So here on my blog, I've recapped my and talked about my 100-kilometer race. It was a super nice event, but also a challenging one from a diabetes standpoint. And that's because I was in hyperglycemia, and hyperglycemia that was really rooted in adrenaline and heat mostly. It was not even food because I had timed my insulin correctly. I had eaten the right amounts of food, even less than I was supposed to. So it was not an excess of carbohydrates, of sugars. So it was really adrenaline and some variables that I couldn't really map into my diabetes equation. And so I remember, running for 15 hours straight in hyperglycemia. And for 15 hours straight, I was, thinking, damn, if I if I only had a pump, a pump here would be game changer. I could just give some dose and then give a bit more or suspend the delivery based on what I see, whatever, whatever. And so in that case, I really felt, it really stung the fact that I didn't have the option of a pump. Also because I forgot my insulin pen, my backup insulin pen at the hotel, so I had zero insulin with me during the race. uh, that was not ideal. Then, of course, I also future paced how this could come, be handy during Ironman future races. I'm going to do more of this, more 100Ks. I'm going to do my first full distance Ironman later in October, and for sure next year I'm going to do one more longer bike rides, longer ultra runs, etc. And even last year in my first Ironman 70.3, I had a similar adrenaline spike, and I had insulin with me on course, but I injected some insulin. But I remember feeling so scared because the minimal amount, the minimal dose that I could give felt like too much. And in that case, the ability to microdose to the zero point 0.1 unit, zero point 0.2, that would have been the flexibility that uh, would have made it easier for me, to run lower the risks of lows later on, and have a smoother blood sugar curve without big fluctuations, especially on the lower side. And so that was event number two. And event number three, I just had a couple of chats with fellow type 1s, fellow endurance athletes with type 1 diabetes. One of them is my diabetes coach. And yeah, we just had a very detailed and uh, honest, I would say, chat about the benefits of a pump. And yeah, while life with a pump is different, can require some, adaptation for sure in the short term. You just have to get used to the idea of having this small thing on your belt all the time. It really makes things easier. And so I started to see myself wearing a pump, and you know I had seen it before, but now I really saw it, if you know what I mean. All these arguments, all these things I already thought about, but for some reason now they clicked all at once. And so, the thing is also for me, like when I run, I just don't even carry insulin with me. And it might sound silly again, as I wrote here, but I just don't enjoy carrying extra things in my belt. It's maybe a stupid thing for me, but it really is that way. I don't know how to say. But now that I have an insulin pump, that I will have an insulin pump, all of this just disappeared because it's not even the pump is going to be part of me, so it's not going to factor into this, and so even that barrier is coming down, and so I also feel ready to accept it, right? Um, that being said, there are a couple of scenarios where I've been thinking about it quite a lot. There are a couple of scenarios where I think that the insulin pump is really going to make a difference, and some events, some areas, some moments of my day where I usually sleep a bit, where my blood sugars are a bit higher, or a bit trickier to manage. They have a, increasing trends. And for example, well, of course, a moment is insulin during activity because, of course, I do not take insulin right before an activity most of the time. Although recently I've been experimenting with this. Um, Latest experiment being this morning on a very long bike ride. I had 2 units of insulin for 200 grams of carbs. I was in range all the time, but then I dropped and I finished on the brink of a low. And so, I want to become able to say, okay, to do what's required during a run, a bike, a triathlon. So if I'm trending higher, over 200, over 250, then I want to be able to give the insulin that is needed to bring me down to level, while I'm running. So this is something that I'm now looking forward to do, and maybe avoiding in the future running 100-kilometer runs on hyperglycemia, in hyperglycemia. That's for sure something that I do not want to repeat. Another thing is the down phenomenon. So this is not related to running, but I wake up early and I also run early in the morning, usually before breakfast, because it just works with my schedule at the moment. But on some days, I wake up and my blood sugar start to rise a little bit, and in that case, I'm always conflicted because am I giving insulin to combat the down phenomenon? But then if I'm going to run, am I going to drop so low that I have to interrupt my session? I don't want to do that. And so if I want to still run, I'm going without insulin, but also I cannot eat to fuel the session. And so the quality of my workout is also compromised. Well, I know that, with the insulin pump, you can just increase the delivery in the later part of the night or very early morning so that have enough insulin to handle the null phenomenon. Then you just turn off the pump or reduce the delivery, and then you can just go for your run without any insulin on board, but also without the down phenomenon. So that's pretty cool. And then another thing that is really not related to any of this, but it's just, the possibility of just managing everything through the pump without my phone. Now I have to go around with my phone all the time because, that's where I get my CGM readings really. The ability to just, the idea of going for a walk without the phone, I can finally let my mind wander, not having distractions around me. I mean, even just that benefit for me is quite a game changer. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. So these are just, a couple of events, a couple of moments that I really foresee and I really am excited about, and that makes me really desire now the insulin pump. That being said, I'm still hesitant to some. I still haven't made my mind in full, and so you know, it's always been the silly uh, idea, right, of having this thing with you 24/7. I really don't enjoy that, even though I have the CGM and that's kind of happening already. But a pump is bigger. A pump is really something that a person from the other side of the street can really say, "Oh, so is that the tube? Is that so you have type 1 diabetes, right? It's like so big, and when I walk, it's in my pocket. When I sleep, it's with me in the bed. At the supermarket, I had friends telling me that there's the lady with the umbrella just turning around, and then it takes the tube and it just rip the things off, and so of course with the partner also another thing is I mean it's so sometimes you also think about those things, and so um I know that there is going to be a transition period where I will have the pump and I'm not probably going to enjoy every moment with it. But I also know now, and I can also recognize that the benefits, the net benefit of the pump are going to, outweigh all these costs, all these small compromises, right? At least in the short term. And also, I was thinking, this is also a bet, because we know that the technology, the advancements, the science for a treatment, for a cure to type 1 diabetes is progressing. We are getting very, very promising results. And probably in a couple of years, the insulin pump is going to be smaller. Maybe we will have something that is as big as this CGM. Now there are also, other pumps different from the one that I will have that are similar to a CGM. But maybe we'll get like something super small. Maybe in the next decade we are going to have a cure. Who knows? So maybe, it's just a temporary solution for me. I'm sure that I'm going to enjoy it at some point, and that is going to benefit me. Like I hope it's going to be, benefit many other type 1 diabetics. But this is I just wanted to share because it's nice to feel vulnerable all the time to share these things, because at the end of the day, us type ones are all super grateful for what we have and the advancements of everyone that is working so hard to provide us this incredible technology that we have. But at the end of the day, really, you know, we still have to accept that it is a disease that puts us in the, forces us to live like this and to have to accept some compromises, some situations that, make you kind of wish that you didn't have type 1 diabetes. And so, yeah, I just felt it was a good moment for me to share this, because it's top of mind, really, and maybe some of you can relate. But you can rest assured that I'm going to experiment and document everything on my newsletter. Again, it's the Diabetic Runner Blueprint. It's this one. You can find it on Substack, also on this YouTube channel. I'm just going to post everything related to my Ironman training, my ultra running training with type 1 diabetes. Of course, in the coming months, you will assist to my transition from MDI to insulin pump while doing triathlon, because before Ironman in October, I will have a couple of Olympic distance triathlons. So very excited about that. And yeah, I'm just going to document everything, and you know, hopefully some of you can relate, can take something useful from it, and you know, be inspired. That's why we do it. So yeah, excited for what's coming, and let's keep up the fight.